Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Magnificent Seven stocks, as well as other stock earning reports that came out this week. Just some of them that you've probably heard of or that are more well-known stocks. So let's take a look at fear and greed. First of all, I'll start off with pie vesting. It's still showing that we're in high greed. We were in extreme greed in early January, still in high greed. And on CNN, fear and greed, still in extreme greed. And why wouldn't we be? We're in all-time high territory with the Dow, NASDAQ, S&P. So we're still ripping up. As you can take a look at this very macro view, this is just something I was playing with. Drew a ascending channel from the lows to the highs, and we've been bouncing off all these highs. There are some areas where we bounce around that 50% range, as you can see where the dotted line is. That seems to be very big. And some of those lows, I had to draw another trend line in there. So just some levels I'm looking for. People are talking bubble. Do I think we're in a bubble? Not quite yet. If we zoom out, if we were getting way above this 50% of that channel and getting somewhere around 6,000, you can see this ascending channel at 6,500, 6,700. This is what happened after we printed money with low rates. Just got a big bubble, went down a lot into late 22. If we got up here, yeah, I think any bit that we're stretched above this 50% line is asking for a correction, because we have not had rate cuts anytime recently. The Fed's talking about doing rate cuts maybe middle of this year, later this year. And while people think, well, that's a good thing for the markets, remember rates have been held higher for longer, and that has been creating stress and cracks on the economy, on businesses. And so these rate cuts and rate raises have a lagging effect, and it's really hard to tell what happens. Usually when we do have rate cuts, these are rate cuts, we will have a big drop right after. And again, the red line is rate cuts when the first rate cuts after we've been paused for a while. After rates have been raised, pause, the first rate cut, and that's what I have here in the red line. We usually have big corrections after. So something to keep in mind. We haven't had rate cuts yet. The most recent one, you could say, well, we still went up. Let's measure that out. From the first rate cut, we went up 20% until we had that COVID flash crash, black swan event. So we'll see what happens. I think the markets can still run up because rate cuts seem to be at least another few months into the future. Something else to take a look at is the yield curve inversion. We are still inverted. When rates are raised, that changes bond prices, as well as when rates are cut, bonds go down. And that's a very overly simplified way of looking at it. But the reason this is important is usually after we have a yield curve inversion, and when it uninverts, usually there's a recession. So this was before 2020, a little blip there. This was the great financial crisis. So you can see we uninverted in 07. A lot of the damage was done about a year later. .com crash. So 01, still another year. So you could say that after these uninverted, we still needed a little while before we found felt the effects of that. So let's take a look at this. June of 07 and January of 01. June of 07, January of 01. So when was the bottom? March of 03, you could even say, let's just say back here, July of 02. So that was a year and a half after we uninverted. And I said June of 07. So where was June of 07? Right here. Look, that's where they cut rates. January of 01. Where's January of 01? Right after they cut rates. So maybe that's telling you something. So June of 07, and then we bottom eventually in March of 09, almost 2 years later. So guys, we may still have some time before the bubble pops, if you believe we are in a bubble, and we may even still run up. As you can see, by the time these rate cuts happen, markets can still run up. Maybe it's a time to start thinking about it, stocks that you might want to sell that maybe peaked a lot right now. Something like NVDA. Let's just start getting into our Mag 7 stocks. So NVIDIA, this one is very much ripping up since October of 22. I did get some NVIDIA back here. We had a monthly buy signal. Let's go to the monthly signals. The last one that came up was back here, and I was able to get some NVIDIA back here, and I'm enjoying that a lot. However, I'll be transparent for you. So on this channel, I want to promote more stress-free style investing. If you're already talking to a financial advisor, you got your IRA, your money markets, all that, and you still have money on the side that you want to play with, invest with, money that you can afford to lose, then this is a channel for you, I believe. I try to make my outlooks for low to medium risk, long-term investors, not people who are trying to gamble on crazy stuff. Even though we do get into crypto and we try to make some sense out of that, my goal is to help people find more value for their investments so they're not buying tops or buying into the hype. Anyways, when I bought down here, when I buy any stock, I want it to be a stock I like and a stock I use. I also think of the company, is this going to be something that is for sure going to be around in 10, 15, 20 years? Those are some of my criteria. When a stock has great value and I buy it, I do not think of selling it within 5 years. NVIDIA is starting to change my exceptions to the rule because how crazy it's ripping up. So I showed you that recession stuff. Let's say a recession is 3 years down the road. Let's be very generous in that. Maybe a recession's 3 years down the road. Well, even if it did a 2x from here, got up to something like 1,500, 1,600, a recession's going to wipe out a big part of that. And so since I got it down here, if NVIDIA were to get around 1,000, a little bit above it, I would be hard-pressed not to sell and take profits because the short amount of time it's done to do that. So if we go up within 2 years about 10x, maybe it's just me, but I think that's too good of an opportunity to pass up and take some profits. Usually stocks will grind up a bit slower for longer. Let's take a look at Microsoft, for example. You see Microsoft, look at this, from 2000 to 15. What a time to accumulate. But even after, you say from, let's just take a look at here when it started breaking into the highs. So middle of 2014, it was at 40. Right now, we're at 400. But again, that's taken 10 years to do a 10x. And so you're doing a multiple every year. When we are doing a 10x within 2 years, that's starting to scream bubble. So just something to keep in mind. Would I be buying NVIDIA right now? Heck no. It's at a yearly high. It's getting stretched. Again, I think that 1,000 mark, you're going to see a lot of sellers come in. It's a big psychological level. I like NVIDIA. I like it a lot. I would not be buying here right now. Now, if it had a big correction, maybe got back down to this 400 range, I would start to change my mind, but we'll visit that when we get there. Let's move on to Microsoft. Speaking of Microsoft, so we haven't had a sell signal in a while. This buy signal since about 370 has played out to the tune of 13%. Pretty good move. We have this red candle, so I am wondering if we're going to get a confirmed sell signal on this indicator. We would have to get under this 10 MA. As you can see, we've bounced off it before. And in the past, that can just be a nice area to bounce. When it gets to this lower moving average at 20, that can be a good time for an even stronger bounce. So, yeah, if we do get a sell signal, and if Microsoft got down somewhere around 380, hey, maybe that could be the start of dollar cost averaging in. Let's take a look at Apple. So Apple, weekly sell signals. My God, this thing has been coming down pretty good. And I've noted before how the price has gone up, but the RSI has gone down. So that was bearish divergence, as well as here. You can see the price was going down. Was the RSI going up? I think it shows better on the daily. So yeah, the lower part of the RSI was trending up, so you could have said bullish divergence there. Just some good examples of that. So Apple, where can we expect Apple to go? Well, something curious to me is how we created these lower lows. We had about 3 bounces here and then shot up. Here, it's creating this sort of descending wedge pattern that I would be concerned of Apple coming down to 165. Something that's important to look at with these indicators is moving averages. And so Apple, as you can see, this is probably the 55 moving average right here, this yellow line. It's coming down to that yellow line, and that's going to be an important one. If it gets below that yellow line, that might be creating some good times to dollar cost average in. So below that, the next moving average, you'd be taking a look right here around 167. If it ever gets to the 200 MA, that's always a great time to buy. Let me throw on just a 200 week moving average here. So anytime you dollar cost average in the best stocks near, at, or below the 200 MA can be a rare opportunity. I mean, look at this. We're already going back to great financial crisis times. Apple, during the great financial crisis time, did it even hit that? At least as we're looking on the weekly, it was just above it. And there it was below it after the dot-com bubble. This is Microsoft. So look at, if you would have bought Microsoft at 24, look how good your profits would be doing right now. So you'd have about almost a 20x. So 200-week moving average, something to keep in the back of your mind. This works best for top stocks, not for all stocks. If you're looking at other generic stocks, you'll notice that those go below it a lot. Again, it's just one tool in our tool belt. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. But Apple, looking kind of bearish right now. Price levels to get into, I would say look at this fib, the 178, the 172. Look for the buy signals on the weekly, heck, even the monthly. Look at those moving averages. Yeah, we even got a monthly sell signal. So this may take a couple months to play out. Yeah, this is for February right now. So this may take a little bit to play out. Sometimes it's a couple months, sometimes it's half a year. So do look for the reversals on the weekly and monthly buy signals as possible times to get in. Look at those fib levels. Look at those moving averages. Apple may be creating some generational buying opportunities coming up. We'll see. Amazon. So Amazon had a weekly sell signal, got up to these highs. Is it all-time high? Not quite. Yeah, all-time high, we were more towards 190. So this is on the monthly, as you can see. Last monthly buy signal here, 130. Before that, in the 90s and even the 80s. Still mad at myself for not getting some Amazon down here. I was ready to pull the trigger, waiting under 80. I was being too patient. Don't miss those boats. So anyways, on the weekly, yeah, we look at that. We had this one little correction kind of fake out here. Usually weeklies can play out a little bit longer, but it's just staying strong and still going up. So Amazon, I do like Amazon. I think it's a stock that's going to be around for a long time. RSI still going up, price still going up. This thing's just bullish. Let's go into Google. Google, we got a weekly sell signal. Let's go to monthly. Monthly, nothing yet. If we do get a monthly sell signal, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So as you guys can see, some of these bigger stocks might be due for a correction. You're seeing the start of some possible cracks. Not saying recession right now, sell everything. I'm not saying that. I just showed you guys before that with those yield curve uninversions, it can still be a year or two. So maybe this is just a correction to a moving average. We'll see how this plays out. Google, let's draw a fib on here. And we'll go from this low to that high. And let's fix this fib. There we go. So if it got under this red line here, that 236, and got somewhere in this range, 126, I wouldn't hate Google there. Maybe as the start of when you could dollar cost average in. Again, you can throw on some moving averages and take a look at those as well. This 55 moving average, if it was somewhere around there, I think that would be a good time to start dollar cost averaging it as well. You can just see everything down here. The 100, the 200, you get under the 200, that tends to be or at the 200, that's a good time to buy. That was the COVID crash at the 200. Other corrections only got down to the 100. So anything under the 55 moving average, to me, that's the area where you can start dollar cost averaging in, and then progressively, dynamically dollar cost average in more. Again, we want to be excited about when prices are dipping, and we also want to be smart about it. You don't want to catch a falling knife. You do want to look for, just looking back here, let's throw on our buy sell indicator for the weekly. You do want to look for some good times to buy. So you may have bought in here and thought to yourself, whoa, we got this buy signal on the weekly, boom, it went down. It's time to get more excited. Buy signal on the weekly, buy signal on the weekly. You think to yourself, we are starting to accumulate up here. High or low, buy signal on the weekly, buy that, because right there, high or low, probably got a monthly buy signal right over there too. Yep, that's where the monthly kicked in as it was creating a high or low. So you could have bought at half the price for Google, just taking a look at the monthly. Let's go to Meta, and speaking of monthly, Meta just continues to rip up. That wick has gone up a little higher since the last time. Let's go to the weekly. And on the weekly, man, since this weekly we have shot up, you can see we're starting to level off here a little bit. So maybe we're going to get a sell signal, revert back to the moving averages. We've had a 50% move up. Geez. So when we get very extended from the moving average, sometimes we can come back down to it. However, you can see, here's a perfect example right here. You can think, well, we're forming a top right here. Maybe we're going to come back down to it, and we just kept grinding up. And so maybe that's what's going to happen as well. We either come down to the moving average or we keep grinding up. Would I be buying Meta right here? No. Again, time in the market's more important than timing the market. You want to react to the conditions that meet the criteria of your plan. So last time I got Meta was down in this range. I have not been buying it ever since. I do like Meta. Let's go into earnings reports. Magnificent 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, the only one I'm missing is Tesla. Tesla kind of fallen out of the Mag 7 role. And yeah, something I've said before about Tesla is its market cap. Now, I like their balance sheet because they have a lot of extra cash, little expenditures compared to their revenue. All that's good. Their balance sheet looks great. However, it's still valued 15 times more than stocks like Ford and GM, and has half the amount of revenue. So to me, that says bubble. When I take a look at something like Tesla on the trading charts, it used to be one of the top traded stocks out there with calls and puts, all that. And NVIDIA's replaced that. So NVIDIA's the new exciting guy in the street. Used to be Tesla. So be careful with Tesla. Something here to note. We've had this trend line. We've just been bouncing off of it. Not a bad area to buy if you believe in Tesla. I'm still waiting for confirmation of a buy signal. We don't have a buy signal on the weekly. When's the last monthly buy signal we got? Was up here. So there's a little bit of a fake out. And yeah, we're still going down. So do look for buy signals on the weekly. If you really like Tesla, not the worst time. However, I would be worried about catching a falling knife. This buy sell signal is one of the leading indicators for when to buy and sell. If you want more confirmation, UT bot alerts will view more confirmation of when to buy and sell if you're looking to be safer. So just something to be aware of. And let's go into earnings. So earnings, we already talked about NVDA. That was Wednesday. Walmart, Home Depot, how have those looked? Walmart. So Walmart trending up. It's at overbought territory. It's been going up since 152. So would I be buying Walmart here? No. It's looking very strong stock. It's valued at around 500 billion. If we zoom way out, going sideways for a bit and been ripping up since 2015. So again, would I be buying Walmart here? No. I would be looking for some pullback areas and then confirmation of a reversal to buy. Home Depot still doing pretty good, just kind of grinding up. Let's draw a fib on this because we got a lot going on. I'm going to draw a fib from over here, the most recent high to low. And yeah, we're just getting back above this 618 region. So looks like we did get some accumulation here for a while, and it's starting to rip up again. As far as buy and sell signals, we haven't had a weekly buy signal since back here at 285. So if you got in on Home Depot down here, good job. Would I be buying it now? No, I'd still be waiting for, this is just me, one of my factors. I like to wait for a sell signal to play out and a weekly, monthly buy signal, as well as look at those moving averages. Let's look at some other earnings. Let's see. Let's move forward to Wednesday. We talked about NVIDIA. I'm just looking at other popular stocks. We have the Intuit TurboTax. Berkshire Hathaway, that'd be an important one. And we'll end there. Berkshire Hathaway. So this one, yeah, just Berkshire, one of the best stocks in the world. It just keeps ripping up. As you can see, we last got a monthly signal around this 340 area. And something important to know with Berkshire Hathaway, they own something like 1 billion Apple shares. Something in the news recently about how they sold 1 million of their Apple shares, and it's like just a drop in the bucket compared to everything they have. So they have a lot of their wealth tied into how Apple's doing. Warren Buffett owns a lot of these stocks. Are those in Berkshire? I'd have to do some more research. But yeah, as you can see here, Berkshire, very historic, strong stock. This is one where I would be looking at the monthly on when to buy. And yeah, it's doing what you want Berkshire to do. So when it does have these pullbacks and gets below these moving averages, when you get the next buy signal, those are great times to buy. So if you're looking for good opportunities, you can see here we have 3 instances of that going below these moving averages. When we get the buy signals, those were good opportunities after we have those big moves down. So that's where we're at today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's any stocks that you would like for me to take a look at, please comment those below. I also do videos on crypto as well. And yeah, give me your opinions. Where do you think the market's going? Do you think that we're still a year or two away from a possible recession? Do you think we're going to achieve a soft landing? Let me know. I think I went over this in this video, but one of the things you can look at, the VIX divided by the VVIX, when we're down here, tends to be when markets have peaked, and when we spike up, tend to be when there's good times to buy. So I'm just trying to show you guys where you can look for some value, ways to look for value. Anyways, hope you're all doing well. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.